friends! Welcome to our mini story time with AHMFL this morning. I am Miss Aftan, the children's librarian, and our story today is all about helping your community. Now, this is a beautiful story that you can check out from the library, and it's all about how it might be easy to only think of yourself, but how it really is the best when you can think about helping your community too. And how when you help others, sometimes it helps you the most. Our story today is also a little bit longer than some of the others, but I hope that you'll bear with us because it is a really, really beautiful story with a great message. The title of our book is Extra Yarn. It was written by Mac Barnett and illustrated, which means he made the pictures, by John Klassen. Right? And you can see our title today, Extra Yarn, is made out of yarn. We have extra yarn. Oh, that is a very, very dull town, all black and white with snow. On a cold afternoon in a cold little town, where everywhere you looked, it was either the white of the snow or the black of soot from chimneys, Annabelle found a box filled with yarn of every color. So she went home and knit herself a sweater. And when Annabelle was done, she had some extra yarn. So she knit a sweater for Mars too. Who's Mars? That's her dog. But there was still extra yarn. And when Annabelle and Mars went for a walk, Nate pointed and laughed and said, "You two look ridiculous." "You're just jealous," said Annabelle. "No, I'm not," said Nate. But it turned out he was. And even after she'd made a sweater for Nate and his dog, and for herself and for Mars, she still had extra yarn. At school, Annabelle's classmates could not stop talking about her sweater. "Quiet!" shouted Mr. Norman. "Quiet, everyone! Annabelle, that sweater of yours is a terrible distraction. I cannot teach with everyone turned around to look at you." "Then I'll knit one for everyone," Annabelle said, "so they won't have to turn around." "Impossible," said Mr. Norman. "You can't." Do you think she can? But it turned out that she could, and she did, even for Mr. Norman. And when she was done, Annabelle still had extra yarn. So she knit sweaters for her mom and dad, and for Mr. Pendleton and Mrs. Pendleton, and for Dr. Palmer, and for little Louis. She made sweaters for everyone except Mr. Crabtree, who never wore sweaters or even long pants, and who would stand in his shorts with the snow up to his knees. "No sweater for me, thanks," said Mr. Crabtree. So she made Mr. Crabtree a hat. And even then, Annabelle still had extra yarn. So she made sweaters for all the dogs and all the cats and for other animals too. What other animals do you see? You have a bear and a rabbit. So maybe there's even one for a bird. Soon people thought, soon Annabelle will run out of yarn. But it turned out she didn't. So Annabelle made sweaters for things that didn't even wear sweaters. Do you see the sweater on the house? Things began to change in that little town. Now, does the town look the same as it did in the beginning of the story? Let's look. How does that look different? Do you remember in the beginning of the story, everything was white and black? and now it's beautiful colors. News spread of this remarkable girl who never ran out of yarn, and people came to visit from around the world to see all the sweaters and to shake Annabelle's hand. One day, an archduke who was very fond of clothes sailed across the sea and demanded to see Annabelle. "Little girl," said the Archduke, "I would like to buy that miraculous box of yarn, and I am willing to offer you $1,000,000. "No, thank you," said Annabelle, who was knitting a sweater for a pickup truck. The Archduke's mustache twitched. $2,000,000, he said. Annabelle shook her head. "No, thanks." $10,000,000, shouted the Archduke. "Take it or leave it." $10,000,000. "Leave it," said Annabelle. "I won't sell the yarn." And she didn't. So that night, the Archduke hired 3 robbers to break into Annabelle's house, and they stole the box and took it to the Archduke, who set off across the snow and sailed over the sea back to his castle. The Archduke put on his favorite song and sat in his best chair. Then he took out the box and he lifted its lid and he looked inside. What do you think he found? Well, that's where all of Annabelle's yarn came from. Did he find yarn inside? What did he find? His mustache quivered. It shivered. It trembled. The Archduke hurled the box out the window and shouted, "Little girl, I curse you with my family's curse." Because what was inside the box? There was nothing. "You will never be happy again." But, so the box landed on some ice, and now the ice is floating across the sea. And who found the box? It was Annabelle. Do you think the curse will work? She'll never be happy again? But it turned out she was. So his curse didn't work on Annabelle. And why do you think Annabelle found extra yarn in the box, but not the Archduke? That's a great question. I think it's because Annabelle was using the box to help others, and it was filled by her love for her community. So this is a fun story to think about some ways that you may be able to help your community, especially with some of the stuff that's going on, and making sure that you help others and keep others in mind too, even when people might be homesick. So I hope that you enjoyed our story today, and I hope that we will see you again soon. Remember, you can always check out library books on our website. We have Hoopla and Overdrive are both e-book services where you can check out books anytime. And on some of those, we'll have audiobooks and also TV, movies, all kinds of great stuff. There are tons of free resources that you can find when you look online, and we also have as many as we can linked on our website, AHMFL.org. So feel free to check there to look for some more online resources to enjoy at home as well. But thanks for joining us for our story time today, and we will see you later. All right, have a nice day, friends. Bye.